Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. If you would like to support this channel, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called The Fee. My work used to rent printers from a printer company, and they were bad. We paid over $2,400 a month for just the 8 LaserJet printers. No toner, no supplies. And we had so many issues. Network issues, paper/toner issues, and every month we would have to shell out money for one of the technicians to come out and fix their junk. We paid that for over 8 years, until we went over the numbers and found out it would be cheaper to buy our own machines, so I called them to end the rental. They did the average spiel. What can we do to make you stay? And they were desperate. They said that I would need to pay a small cancellation fee to end my contract. The next day I have an invoice on my desk for $11,296.34 for the cancellation fee. I called them, and they gave me a super unclear answer on why it's this amount. I looked into this contract we signed 8 years ago. It said that if we cancel within 14 days, we would incur no cancellation charge and receive a refund for that month, if the printers were in packaging. So I called them and asked to be upgraded to their top of the range package. And I would like all my old, bad, stupid printers taken away and to get top of the line new printers. The total per month was like $8,900 a month. And in this new contract for this new package, the no cancellation charge within 14 days clause was still there. I convinced my financial manager for me to try to gamble $8,900 so we can save $11K. Worst case, we save $3,000 on a cancellation fee. Best case, we save $11,000. They said that in 3 days my old printers will be taken. Then next week we can choose models. The day comes and the printers have been taken. The next day I called this printer company and say I would like to cancel my contract, and it has been under 14 days. Out of luck I get connected to the same person I was talking to about getting these new printers. It took me around 2 hours, but they finally cancelled it and we didn't have to pay a fee. They were totally confused and probably mad, but couldn't do anything. The next story is called Alimony. This is a story about my dad's cousin. She's in her late 70s, early 80s. She was married to a super high up of some big company. They had 2 kids and had a wonderful prenup. It was ironclad. If they divorced, she got nothing but what was acquired during the marriage, and she paid child support. If she cheated, she forfeits everything but child support. If he cheated, he had to pay her alimony and child support until she got remarried. No matter what she did, it was said that she got $5,000 a month in alimony. After the kids were 18, her alimony went down to $2,500 if she still was unmarried. The man was loaded. Well, he cheated and she got proof. Actually, his boss caught him and liked her, so he told her and even testified to it. Plus, her man didn't deny it in court. He was having an affair with his young secretary. She got alimony and child support. Years later, after she finished cosmetology school, she ended up opening her own hair salon in the South. She has a lot in those upscale assisted living facilities, so now she is also loaded. She drives a super cute red convertible Mercedes. They divorced when she was 30. She still has never remarried, and he's still paying alimony. She has had a serious boyfriend for 30 years. But she said, just to spite the ex, she will not remarry unless he dies. He has been married 4 more times, but no matter what, because of his prenup he insisted on, she still gets the $2,500 a month. For at least 40 to 45 years so far he's been paying. The third story is called The Treasure Chest. A few years back, on a rainy morning, I was driving to work. I had a turn coming up, and the car behind me was riding my tail very close. Me being the little anxiety ball, I didn't slow down nearly enough for the rain. I ended up running off the road, into a ditch and hitting a plastic sign. This was my first accident. I was mortified and a bit shaken up. I ended up not having any damage to my vehicle and didn't have to file a report. Fast forward to me at my second job, and I'm telling a coworker about my experience. As it turns out, the sign I hit belonged to the company her boyfriend worked at. I asked her to apologize for me and went about my day. This being my first accident or incident of any kind at all, didn't think to reach out and offer compensation for the destroyed property. I was quite young and naive. Fast forward again to a week or so later, and I got a call at my second job. Someone who worked at the company of the destroyed sign was on the other end. When I answered, he immediately started yelling that I had destroyed their property. I hadn't reached out to them, and I needed to immediately pay $75 or they were going to call law enforcement on me. I was more than happy to pay and put up no resistance at all. But I was quite perturbed that he immediately started to threaten me before giving me a chance to explain, apologize or agree to pay. That night I went to the bank and explained the situation to the teller. Told her I needed to withdraw $75, but I wanted it in pennies. After hearing what happened, she suggested I do it in nickels because they weigh more. So I ended up getting $74 in nickels and $1 in pennies. But it doesn't stop there. After receiving the coins, neatly rolled, I unrolled every single one and collected them into our box. The next day, at work, a man came to pick up the money. I pointed at the cardboard box. He picked it up with a puzzled look, but didn't open it and didn't say anything. The next day, a woman and her kids came over. Turns out she was the wife of the owner, and she wanted to understand why I gave all coins. I explained my side of the story and why I was so upset. She ended up apologizing for the way I was treated and said that her kids thought they had found a treasure chest when they opened the box. It worked out in the end, but if I could redo it, I would have been more upfront instead of malicious. The last story is called Not Long Enough. This was more than a decade ago. In my junior year of college, I was taking an art history class on medieval art and architecture. Partway through the course, the professor assigned a paper and the instructions were that the paper length was to be 5 to 9 pages. I wrote my paper and it ended up being 5 pages. I said everything I felt was necessary to say in that amount of pages. When I got the paper back, I received an A-. Now, I'm not usually the type to complain about an A-, but in this case, I knew I wrote a strong paper. I was an art history major and at this point was 3 years into my program, so I had loads of art history classes under my belt. I knew when I produced a good art history paper, so I really wanted to hear why I got the minus instead of a straight A. I went to the professor's office hours to ask why he graded it as such. Yes, he was quite amused that someone was complaining about an A-. I didn't care. I wanted to know why he took off points and what he thought could have been improved. He hemmed and hawed for a few minutes, because there wasn't anything wrong with my paper. And finally he said, well, it could have been longer. I said, the prompt said 5 to 9 pages, and I was within that range. He replied, it could have been longer. Okay, fine. The next paper that came around was the term research paper, and this time the prompt said, at least 15 pages. Cue MaliciousCompliance. I worked hard writing this research paper. And out of pure spite, I made this dude read no less than 29 pages about some stupid medieval church. Now, I had written papers this long before, but for this particular topic, I was really stretching it. The verbosity was a bit ridiculous. A week or two later, he returned the paper. A+ grade. He handed it to me and said with a genuine smile, it was great. I loved it. You should submit it for publication to this history journal. I begrudgingly submitted my maliciously compliant paper to the journal and it was accepted and published. Admittedly, I was probably the one that suffered the most from my own malicious compliance, but I didn't care and I'd do it again. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.